With the Ontario general election right around the corner, Premier Doug Ford has just raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. That's great, go Doug, right? Well, not quite. A $15 minimum wage was first proposed in 2019, where Ford struck it down. In fact, minimum wage in Ontario has been decreasing in purchasing power through the years, despite it increasing in value. What does this mean? Even if we just look at inflation, we suddenly see that minimum wage hasn't increased all that much over the years. However, the cost of goods has increased disproportionately. We'll come back to this later. The share of minimum wage workers has spiked in recent years, yet the rich-poor divide only grows larger and larger. In fact, only the top 1% have increased their wealth at the expense of the lower and middle class. Let's go back to the idea of purchasing power by looking at a housing example. The average Toronto house price in the 70s was around $30,000 to $40,000, while the minimum wage in 1975 was $2.4. In 2014, the minimum wage was $10.5, with house prices of over $550,000. Since then, house prices have soared to over $1,163,000 in 2021, while the minimum wage has just been raised to only $15 at the start of 2022. In 1975, someone could buy a house with the equivalent of 12,500 to 16,600 hours, while you would need around 52,400 hours in 2014 and 77,600 hours in 2021. That's around 3.5 times and 5 times the hours compared to 1975 for 2014 and 2021 respectively. Why is the younger generation not having any children? This right here. The cost of living are becoming too much greater than the workers' compensation, as median salary is irrevocably tied to minimum wage. This problem is starting to spiral out of control, and we need to do something about it. Let's take a look at what other countries are doing. In France, the minimum wage is automatically raised each year based on inflation and the average salary of a French worker. Australia has a government commission that reviews minimum wage each year, taking into account factors such as inflation. As does the UK, made of business and economic experts. So does the Czech Republic, Costa Rica, the list goes on and on. Significantly, the US has a similar system to Ontario, and as we can see, are the only two countries where the minimum wage adjusted for inflation is erratic, it's not linear. What is the similarity? The minimum wage in the US and Ontario is determined not by economic professionals but by politicians. This makes for random, unpredictable jumps. A systematic way of increasing minimum wage also means workers all over, not just those working at minimum wage, are being fairly compensated. It sets the example for all companies. Instead of leaving it to the whim of a random official, there is a predictable system in place. It's time to take the decision out of the hands of politicians. Instead of wasting time debating the issue back and forth until they come to a non-decision, how much the minimum wage is should be a foregone conclusion. The election is coming up soon. Minimum wage is an economic issue, not a political issue, so let's make it one.